was your father, were there any unions at that time? I don't think
They
there
started right after the Depression.
They were just starting. That's
But he was already sick before that. So.
I didn't know. I was just asking.
Oh, he was sick. No, he wasn't involved. No. Eddie Anderson could tell you about that, or his father couldn't. Or he did now, I think.
So you did have relatives who were still in the mines who, during the Depression, did join unions.
Yeah, they tried to join the union.
And what happened?
Well, the company men were on horses, and they used to beat up the men.
Oh my God!
It was terrible.
So did they get a union for the miners in Pennsylvania? Do you know when they finally did get a union there?
I don't remember. I wasn't interested in that stuff when I was young, which it's sad.
Yeah.
You know.
Grandma, do you remember the government helping at all during the Depression with your family or with any? Did you see anything that the government did to help people around you after the Depression?
During the Depression.
During the Depression.
Well, the government sent out some staples, I guess.
Like food?
For like butter. No, it wasn't. What could we?
Flour?
Flour and stuff like that.
So did your mother get some of that?
She had to, but she did. But then she had to repay what what they gave her.
She had to repay the government?
Oh, yes.
So it was kind of like a loan from the government? Like you could have this, but then you owe us?
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
So it wasn't free?
It wasn't free.
Grandma, do you remember?
I remember that.
Grandma, what's the first?
Because Paul started, see, 1941, when I left Cleveland. Then Paul started.
When you left Homer City.
And Paul started to work. So then that had to all be paid. We had to be paid. But yes, it wasn't free.
Did your mother get any kind of assistance from the government?
No, that's all.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have anything. The poor people didn't have anything.
Wow. So you really took care of yourself, and the government didn't do much to help.
No.
Grandma, on a different note, what's the first presidential election that you remember?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the first one. And he was the first president that's when he got the farmers to get their crops in. What I mean, he took so much and threw it away in order to make.
They bought up a lot. The government would buy up a lot of the crops just so that the farmers would have money, right?
But he, instead of giving the food away, he threw it away.
Wow, that does make sense.
That's what was that called?
I couldn't tell you.
But that's when the Depression really almost
kind of ended.
Yes, when they were like now the government is getting too involved.
Yeah. Grandma, after the Depression, when Germany started taking power in Europe, do you remember hearing any of the international news about what was going on?
See, we were young. We weren't interested in that, in the government.
Okay. So when met Grandpa, did you ever think that he would end up going to war?
Yeah.
No, you never thought so?
You did not think the United States would be involved in what was going on in Europe?
That was. In fact, when Dad was, or in the army, that's when we started to realize what the United States was doing.
When was Pearl Harbor? What year was Pearl Harbor?
50.
That was after.
It was 51. December.
No, it was not 51. I was born in 52.
It was 40. Wasn't it 40?
Oh,
No.
40.
41? December
Because
8th,
that would have been when the United States was committed. Then.
No, that's when the United States was committed to going to.
So what year was Pearl Harbor?
I thought it was 41.
40. Let's see. See, all the boys that were fighting, when the war was ended in Europe, they thought that they would be shipped over to Pearl Harbor. So that's when Pearl Harbor was.
It had to be 1941. I'm pretty sure. Grandma, can you tell me when you started working in the factories?
In 40. 42.
So after you got married to Grandpa,
Because I was working in the steel mills for a while. And then,
So when you first came to Cleveland, your first job in
oh,
Cleveland.
my first job, the next day I went downtown and I was a waitress at the Forum cafeteria.
Okay, so your first job in Cleveland was a waitress.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you have that job for?
Oh, until I got a job into the steel factory.
Okay, how much money did you make as a waitress? How much did you get an hour?
Oh, Lord. When I got 80 cents an hour for working
as a waitress.
No.
As in the steel mills?
At the steel mills.
You got 80 cents an hour in the steel mills. And you thought that was good?
Oh, yes, that was. I remember Angie working as a telephone
Operator.
Well, no, she was working the elevators,
Okay.
and she was making, I don't know, very less than that. And they thought that I was making a fortune.
They thought you were making fortune at. So
Oh,
what did you
yeah.
do in the steel mills?
Winding steel rods on a spool like a thread.
Did you have a machine to help you, or did you do this mostly by hand?
You had a machine going and you had to watch it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And how many years did you do? How long did you do that?
Not too long. Then there was this girl and I. Her name was Sophie. Can't think of her last name. They were hiring at Parker Hannifin, so we went there and we got a job.
And how much did you make at Parker Hannifin then?
It was about 80 cents the same too, but it was a better job. It is.
Okay, same pay but better job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Grandma, do you remember any people of different ethnicities working with you at either of your jobs? Do you remember any Asian people or?
No, there weren't any Asian people.
So you worked with only white people?
Okay, now, when you were working, even though you were working white people, how big was it, the nationalities, whether you were Polish or whether you were Italian or whether you were Czech?